Well, hey internet, and welcome to a brand new video series called Thoughts We Might Have Had. We're going to be doing movie reviews and thoughts on movies from people who have been in them or are some way vaguely, loosely connected to them. Some of them will admittedly have more to do with movies than others. But this one is all movies all the time, so let's go ahead and roll that intro, Collins. We don't have an intro, do we? So, Dracula Untold is a movie starring Luke Evans, featuring Charles Dance, and a whole lot of other people who watched Marvel movies and thought, hey, we could do that with Dracula, right? So, it's the 15th century, and the Turkish Empire is marching around, murdering people everywhere, and sharing Turkish delight. But despite that, Vlad, totally not Dracula, is currently living peacefully with his family in Transylvania. Despite Transylvania being the most overtly evil place on the planet. Moving your family to Transylvania is the horror equivalent of living in a cabin in the woods on an ancient Indian burial ground filled with demon-possessed dolls. So despite Vlad's new commitment to peace though, the Turkish Empire shows up one day demanding 1,000 of his young Transylvanian boys so they can take them and put them together into the Transylvanian Boys Choir. Which is a joke because they actually want them to be tiny Turk tank soldiers and march on other people. Which, aside from being a lot of fun to say, isn't necessarily something you want to happen to your offspring. So Vlad obviously has no choice but to climb a mountain, sit in a cave, and watch shadows on the wall as he reflects on the true meaning of the universe. What do you mean that's a Plato joke and no one will get it? Plato is toad school right now, man. Toad school. Seriously though, what he actually does is climb a mountain and sit in a cave with Charles Dance, makes a deal with Dance, which would be a great name for a reality TV show, but he makes a deal with Dance where he's going to gain the powers of a vampire and thus be able to avenge himself and save his child and all that boring stuff you've heard before. Okay, so let's talk about some of the cons of this movie. First off, and ironically, Dracula Untold is a story you've heard before. There's nothing new here, there aren't any big plot twists that you won't see coming a mile off. Secondly, Dracula kills a lot of people using primarily bats in this movie, which is just tough to believe. On the positive side of things, it is a great performance by Luke Evans, and the scene where Dracula fights off a whole army all by himself is admittedly pretty awesome. On the whole, Dracula Untold isn't a bad movie, it's just a movie that couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a horror movie or an action movie, and like so many of my past relationships, it ends up just kind of fizzling out because of lack of commitment. It's a good movie if you're a fan of the genre or interested in seeing a vampire movie that's more about blood, death, and murder than feeling sparkling in Twilight, but on the whole, it lacks any kind of punch. I give it 5 Transylvanian Boys Choirs out of 10. So for our second segment this week, we're going to do a little something I like to call DVD Rundown, where I go through 10 DVDs coming out in October and whether or not you should care about them at all. So let's start with something that has technically already come out, Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow is a movie starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, a movie that Tom Cruise was literally placed on this earth to be in. He dies hundreds of times. It is the most fun I have ever had in a cinema. There's something about Tom Cruise dying that warms my tiny, tiny cold soul. Also, Emily Blunt does this a lot, and we will now cut to a shot of my unpaid intern Jefferson doing that. It's funny because it's free labor. Seriously, he's basically a slave. I bought him for a Kit Kat. And not even a whole Kit Kat, just one of the kits. Next. A Million Ways to Die in the West is a movie written by Seth MacFarlane, the guy who wrote Family Guy, and is somehow still writing Family Guy. The best parts of this movie are in the trailer. So just go watch the trailer a couple times and send the money you saved to me. I'm working on my all-potato cast of Hamlet, and I really need a new Ophelia. The last one, total diva. Spud. Next. Million Dollar Arm is a movie starring John Hamm, essentially playing John Hamm, and there's cricket involved, and somewhat unsurprisingly, people who play cricket are not automatically good at baseball, which is a key plot point in that movie. And that's pretty much a summary of the whole plot. Don't watch it. Next. X-Men Days of Future Past is awesome. Next. What do you mean that's not long enough? It's awesome. They should watch it. Fine. X-Men Days of Future Past is a movie that involves time travel, and there's a guy who runs really fast and is awesome, but is crazy overpowered, so at the end of the movie they have him sitting at home on his couch for no reason. Next. Mr. Peabody and Sherman is a fairly run-of-the-mill kids movie. There's a dog and time travel. It's basically Doctor Who with a puppy, which actually sounds kind of awesome now that I think about it. I may have to rethink my stance on this one. Anyway, this is my certified kid babysitter of the month. What do you mean that's politically incorrect? Dude, this is YouTube. It's like 90% people getting hit in the crotch and 10% kittens. Someone made a video of someone getting hit in the crotch with a kitten, probably win the internet. Jefferson, go get me a kitten. No reason. Next. Earth to Echo is a kids movie that's basically the ugly stepchild of WALL-E and E.T. If you took those two movies, ran them together, and took out all the childhood whimsical fancy and then replaced it with a dead horse, you would get Earth to Echo. You can work with the parts around it, but in the end, there's still a dead horse and someone's probably kicking it. Rim shot, Jefferson. Jefferson, rim shot. Ba-doom. Honestly, what do I not pay you for? Next. Snowpiercer is a movie about Captain America living in a dystopian future where all of humanity is stuck on a train. It's actually a super good movie and a lot of people didn't see it in theaters. So go ahead, run out, rent it now, come back, watch it, you'll be good. What do you mean I have to say something funny about it? I don't know. Captain America stole Leonidas' beard from 300. Next. Speaking of things that aren't funny, Sex Tape. It's a movie starring Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz, and it is about as funny as this picture of a piece of cardboard. Actually, that seems super mean to the piece of cardboard. It's about as funny as this picture of Cameron Diaz, but not nearly as funny as the fact that people keep paying Cameron Diaz to be in movies. Oh, burn! Drop the bike! We're not done yet. Next. Life After Beth is a movie starring Aubrey Plaza. She's in a relationship and then she dies and then she comes back as a zombie, but she's still in a relationship. It's basically Twilight for zombie fans, except that movie already got made and it's called Warm Bodies and it's terrible. This movie's okay, but nothing necessarily to write home about. Next. Behaving Badly is a movie starring Selena Gomez, and Selena Gomez is by far the most talented person in it, which should tell you a lot about this movie. Basically, the bar was set very, very low, and the rest of the actors in this movie dug a hole and took a nap under it. Next. And there you have it, guys. 10 DVDs from October and our first episode of Thoughts We Might Have Had. If you like this video, go ahead and favorite it down below. If you really like this video and you want a free kitten, go ahead and favorite it and subscribe to us. If you want more information on Thoughts We Might Have Had the blog, click on the link down below. And if you want more information about Other Vision Studios, click on that link. Thank you so much for watching, and we are out. Jefferson, where's my kitten? I haven't got all day to stand around here not throwing things at your crotch.
His little, like, red.
You did? Oh, bats are great for confusing people.
Oh, yeah.
All of the DVDs coming out on October, on top of it. Like October is a house. Take my keys out of my pocket. I'm working on my all-potato version of Hamlet, and I need a new Ophelia. The last one, total devia. Total devia. It's going well. Mr. Peabody and Sherman? Is that really the name of the movie? Snowpiercer is a movie about Captain America living in This is what happens when you guys talk about weird stuff. I get all thrown off. All right. Speaking of things that aren't funny, Sex Tape. It's a movie starring a cast of people in a group unit thing.